welcome to my Mompreneur studio. I am Anissa Crespo, and on this episode of She Swaps, I am talking to Gina, and she is a published author. So Gina, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. So I'm excited to get to know you a little bit. So please share a little bit about you, what you do, definitely about your book, and anything else you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, so I'm a homeschool mom. I started homeschooling about 10 years ago. I have three kids. One graduated last year, and then I have a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old. We also take care of my sister, Lisa. She has Down syndrome, and we've had her since '09. Yeah, '09. But she's 31, so she's pretty, she's pretty independent. But that's always, an exciting adventure, I guess. I just wrote a book last year. And it was kind of like my first trial run. And yeah, there was like a mistake after I printed 500 books. I was like, it was kind of a flop, but here we go with a new one. And I'm really excited about this book. This one's a middle grade chapter book for like 8 to 10 year olds. And it's about a homeschooling family. And I'm really excited about this one because I kind of found a need for more wholesome books, like kind of like the old classics where, they talk about Christianity and they talk about values and morals and all of that. Because you don't really find that as much nowadays. So, but yeah, it's along Sarah's homeschooling journey, and she has a really special Christmas wish that she's been asking for since she was 3. So she's 10 now, so she's hoping to get that special Christmas wish. Yeah, I don't know. What else? What else can I share? I've been married just celebrated my 18th wedding anniversary. So yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations on the book. What's the name of the book and where can we find it?
So it's called The House on Maple Street, and it's not on anything yet because it's not published yet, but it will be on Amazon. It'll also be on my website, ginahanderhanauthor.com. I'm doing a Kickstarter on Tuesday, so that'll be the pre-orders for the book. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay, so Tuesday, April 16th?
Yeah, so that'll be like where you can pre-order it. There's also a lot of merch on there. Like one scene, Sarah goes to see the Nutcracker in Chicago, and she has a really special dress. So I've gotten those custom made, and I've got 30 of those available, but that's like exclusive just for the pre-orders. So if you do want Sarah's dress, you got to get on it. April 16th, it runs through May 15th. So
Awesome. I love that. What
yeah.
sizes are the dresses available in? Because I have a daughter, but she's only 4.
Oh, that's perfect. So my seamstress said she can do newborn to like 14, 16. So
Awesome. I will
yeah.
get on there and order one. So it's interesting that you were talking about the mistake after it was printed because I'm working on getting a book published right now. Actually, I have a few book projects that I'm working on. And one of the key things that they have been driving home is like, please make sure because they do a release of an ebook before they do the release of the hard copy. And they're like, please, it's so much easier to, recall something that's in a digital format. Once it's printed, it's a nightmare. So I can only
Oh
imagine.
yeah. Oh, it was frustrating. Well, because it was my first like trial and I wasn't really like, oh, I'm an author. Like it was just kind of like, let me try this and see how it goes. I didn't get I just had like some friends, like my English major friends, look it over and stuff like that. And it was like just a children's picture book. So I mean, how hard can that be as far as like editing, right? But I don't know if it happened during formatting, but a word was completely missing.
Ah,
Which I don't think that happened before. So I don't know if when I was moving things around to like get things in the proper space, if I accidentally deleted it and didn't notice, because I know that my editor, like my friend who looked at it, I've had a couple friends look at it, they would have seen it, and I would have seen it. I looked over it many times too. So I'm not sure how that happened. but I was mortified. And it's funny because I even read my story to like a group of kids at our homeschool group, and I didn't even see it because it's one of those words that you just like your brain automatically adds it in. And yeah, then one day I was looking through it and I'm like, the word two is missing. And I'm like, what? So, and I had already gotten 500 printed. So basically, yeah. So for now, I have the book still on my website with a disclaimer, and I'm just selling them for super cheap until I can make enough money to buy another 500. And then obviously I'll change it. The thing with that book is I try to do it through KDP, which I don't know if you know that. It's
Yep.
like print on demand. Um, and I was like not gonna go with that one for my new book because the quality was like not the greatest. The first book was amazing. Then the second proof I got, there was like white on the outside, like they didn't cut it properly, and it wasn't as vibrant, the colors and everything, because the book is full bleed, so the color goes all the way to the end. Um, so I was like, I don't really want to go with them. So I ended up going with a printing company, and but you have to buy 500 at a time. So this book though, I might go with KDP because it's a chapter book, so there are illustrations, but it's not like it goes all the way to the end. And I think that KDP should, because it's good quality overall, I think. It's just I think because of the color situation and they didn't cut it properly. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So I don't think that'll happen this time. I have professional editors and professional illustrators and all of that this time. I'm going the whole, you know, taking all the steps this time.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. And I love what you were saying about homeschooling. So you get to teach your children the things that you want to teach your children, and they're not being pumped full of all types of craziness, which let's be honest, I mean, we can talk about it. It is crazy. You know, I'm from New Jersey, but I live in Florida now. And in New Jersey, homeschooling is not really a thing. Like, it had never even crossed my mind to potentially homeschool my children because it's just really not a thing. Like it's public school primarily or private school if you have the funds to pay for that. I'm sure there are like, I don't know. I don't know what the statistic is, but let's call it 1%, Susie's homeschooled, but
Right.
it was never a thing for me. When I moved to Florida, 95% of my friends homeschool their children, and
Hmm.
I love it. Like, I think it's fantastic. I think it allows for a better just environment as far as like the kids are not just from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's just school, school, school. Like it's broken up a little bit better, and I love it. And I'm super excited to be able to have that opportunity to the resources. I think even after COVID, the resources are just a little bit different and better now, if you do want to homeschool your children. But, I think it's fantastic. So I'd love it if you could just talk a little bit about that and the things
Yeah,
that you love, some of the challenges you face, and all the in between.
absolutely. So I agree with you about Florida too. There's a huge, because I used to live there. We just moved to West Virginia, as I was telling you before the interview here, but um, huge homeschool community there. It's amazing how big it is because we were a part of several different groups, and you would go to like a homeschool curriculum sale and see, you know, 20 families or 30 families you've never seen before that are homeschooled, and it's just like you don't realize how many people really do this. It's not as like weird, I guess, as it used to be. Um, but yeah, I love it because it's so flexible. I love being able to get our schoolwork done quickly, and if we want to go to the park or whatever, or like when my husband's off work, if we want to go to the zoo, we can go to the zoo. Like I don't have to call the school and be like, oh, we're taking off this day, or um, we can kind of do whatever we want and learn whatever we want. And I love that about homeschooling. And I love the community. Um, one of our homeschool groups in Florida, we used to do like presentations and parties and field trips and all these things. And your kids can get a lot more field trips, depending on what you do. And I just love that part of it. I love the flexibility and the fact that I don't have to worry about what my kids are learning. Because I have control over that. I know that they're not learning, that they came from monkeys and, whatever. Um, and, we can kind of, the thing about it too is when you're like in a homeschool group, you're with other families. You're not just with the same like age group, you know? So your kids are learning to get along with, 5-year-olds and 12-year-olds and parents and 2-year-olds that are there. And it's just like more of a family environment and everyone's watching out for each other's kids and you're like-minded. So they're not going to be exposed to something super crazy. And if they are, which we do expose them to things because we have to, but we can do it from a perspective that, biblical perspective, so they can have like a strong foundation and not just think that all these things they're being fed are okay and acceptable.
100%. I could not agree with you more. I think it's super important. Like I know we, somewhere along the way, we kind of separated church and state. And, it's my humble opinion that our kids need God in school and they need God in their lives,
Yeah,
everybody's entitled to their opinion. This is my opinion.
right.
But I get to decide that my kids are going to learn this. I get to decide. They're not, off in school learning God knows what, learning that, uh, they have a choice of a gender. Like, no, you don't have a choice of a gender. You're a boy or
No,
a girl, and that's a fact. Like,
right. That's a
again,
biological fact.
my humble opinion, but kind of also a fact, right?
And I mean, yeah, like let's face it, that's not really an opinion. Like
Exactly.
if you decided that you wanted to pretend to be a boy but you were a girl and you died and someone came and found your bones 10 years later, they're going to find out that you're a girl because biologically, scientifically, you were born a girl. Plain
Exactly.
and simple, period. Um,
Exactly.
there's no way around it. You're not a cat,
No,
you're
it's
not a
true.
unicorn.
It's
Um,
true.
I
I know
mean, I feel like
that was
nowadays,
a thing that was a thing in New Jersey. It really started to get crazy. This is right when my husband and I decided to really make the move down to Florida. I mean, there were kids that were literally requesting to have litter boxes put in the bathroom because they're identifying as cats or they were called furries. I don't know. I can't get on board with it. I'm not going to get on board with it. My kid comes home and tells me that they're a cat. There's going to be an issue.
oh
Okay.
yeah. And that's funny actually that you say that because I've heard about that and I've quoted that to people because people just they don't see a lot of times they don't see what's going on in this world. And they're like, "Oh, well, that's not true. You need to check the facts and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "So I didn't know that that actually was like 100% true." But I was like, well, whether it's like a fact or not, there literally are people identifying as non-humans. Whether like there really is a kid asking for a litter box or not is irrelevant because this is really happening in our world. Like,
It is, and
you
it's
know,
scary. I mean, I remember the
yeah.
conversation my husband and I had with each other. We were kind of looked at each other because it was something that we saw, like a Facebook post or something, and we're like, you can't believe everything you see on Facebook. But we did a little bit of digging, and this is happening. Like this stuff is going on in the world. It's real
Yeah.
life, and so I love that you have the authority to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to allow this. I can keep my kids home and they'll still get a fantastic education. They'll still get the socialization, which is still super critical. Like just because they're home doesn't mean that they have to be home bodies. Like, no,
Oh yeah,
you're socializing with other kids. And there is the diverse aspect of it. Like
there
they
is.
are getting to mix in with other age groups and all different, ethnicities and all of that. And I think it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't live in a cave. And we also don't co-parent with the government. So it's not their job to raise my kids. Now, am I doing the greatest job in the world? Well, no, of course not. I'm a sinner, but at least they're not being fed that it's okay to pretend that you're a narwhal or something. Sorry, like no. Um, yeah, it's just ludicrous. It really is just insane. But yeah, I mean, God gave them to us. They're ultimately his, but he gave them to us to raise them for his glory. And if we don't teach them to do that, to follow God, the world's going to teach them not to. So, and ultimately they're going to, or they're not going to. We can only do our best. I mean, we can't save our children, but we can give them a foundation. We can teach them right from wrong. They don't have to learn that from their friends and, their teachers who might think that we came from monkeys or aliens or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And it's a choice at the end of the day. Like it's your children. You get to teach
yeah,
where you want to teach them. You don't have to worry about, them coming home saying, oh, my teacher told me it was okay to take medicine to become an opposite gender. No, that's not okay.
yeah.
But
Because when you do have that conflict of, well, my teacher said, you know, yeah, like we're their parents, but that's a teacher. They have authority in their eyes. And so they're going to tend to believe the teacher because they have the teacher's degree. They know what they're talking about, mom. Um, so when you get that battle, I mean, that makes it more difficult,
yeah,
especially
absolutely.
when you're just bringing your kids out of school. That makes it, so that is a challenge just to regain like your kids' trust of like, listen, I know what I'm talking about. No, I don't know everything. And if we don't know something, we look it up, we find out the answer, but we're not just going to take everything that we hear from our teachers and just say, well, they're a teacher, so they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
No.
And you know what? Good for you for standing up for what you believe in. We need more people to stand up and not be afraid because oh, what is somebody going to think about me or whatever? No, these are my values and this is what I believe, and I'm not scared to talk about it. And it's okay.
Yeah. I'm just like waiting for because my book, it's a Christian book and I do share the gospel. It's a Christian homeschooling family. They have devotions every night, there's morals. And basically what I wanted to create was I wanted to bring back the old classics in like a little bit of a more modern version. It's based in the 90s, so there's a lot of that 90s nostalgia. But I mean, even back in the 90s, even though that was only what, 30 years ago or something.
Oof.
Um, I know. I know. Like, wait a minute. um, that's really a hard pill to swallow right there.
Yes.
But there was a lot more morals back then. I mean, there were people that did crazy things, but it was kind of more hush hush. It wasn't so,
In your face?
yeah, well, I'm a cat, so if you don't, you know, go into my fantasy and treat me as though I am one, then you're a bigot.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, so just,
Ridiculous. Let's just call it
yeah,
what it is.
exactly. So I wanted to bring back like the natural family unit. There's a father and a mother, and there's children. And oh, and another thing too, nowadays, I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of people, they either don't want kids or they're like, you need to stop having kids. You have too many kids. You know, I can't wait for my kids to go back to school. I mean, it's just this family, they enjoy their kids. They love their kids. They enjoy each other's company. So I mean, think Little House on the Prairie meets the 90s. So that's kind of where that book, I guess, is just a wholesome read.
Tell me about some of the challenges you face with homeschooling.
Yeah, so it's definitely it's easy, but it's hard, like as as a mom, you're always going to doubt yourself, but especially as a homeschool mom, that's like a part of it. I mean, you're always going to be like, am I doing enough? Are they getting everything they need? But it's okay if they're not, because I remember like just even from the beginning of our homeschooling, I've learned so much more as an adult learning along with my kids, because like I'm not a teacher, so I have to learn with them, like if we're doing history, like I'm reading it to them and learning as I go. I'm not like memorizing a lecture, and um I've learned so much more as an adult because I want to learn it, like when you're a kid, if you don't want to learn something, no matter how well it's being taught to you, you're not going to learn it. If your brain isn't engaged and you don't want to learn, you're not going to, you know. So I just feel like if they're not getting everything that they need, or if you don't finish a book or something, they don't finish books in public school either. I mean, there'll be sections where they don't do the book. But if they want to learn it later on in life, they will. They can take a course, they can, whatever it is. Um, but I'd rather my kids learn like how to do their taxes or something like that than
Absolutely.
there's a parallelogram.
Yeah.
That's amazing to know what a parallelogram is, and not that you shouldn't know that, but I mean, the other things are kind of more important, they need to know, like when I got married, I didn't know how to cook anything. I made mac and cheese and hot dogs. That was like our meal. And I and it's not that my mom didn't like want to teach me, but I didn't like have the interest, and she didn't really like push it. But I feel like if she had started teaching me as at a young age, I would have at least had some more of those like skills.
Yeah, we need more life skills. We need things
Yeah,
that we can actually use when we become an adult. We need to know how money works. We need to know how to get money. We need to know things like how to do taxes, things that adults need to know how to do. Algebra is fantastic if you're going to be a mathematician, but I don't really use algebra in my day-to-day life. But I just came through tax season, and I know that these are skills we need. Let's just leave it
right. Yeah.
at so yeah, that's a great point. All right. So aside from the book, do you have any other projects you're working on?
Um, I'm kind of like I'm such a scattered person. Like I'm just an entrepreneur, so I'm kind of always got stuff going on.
I'm
Um,
I'm with you.
yeah, I would say that's the main thing, but we do have like, oh, that's the other thing with homeschooling. We're doing that entrepreneur fair, May 11th, which is really cool because our kids and the parents can make things and sell. Like if you have a business, or if you just want to like bake some goods or sew something or whatever. So we're working on those things right now. My 10-year-old's been making like bookmarks, and we've been sewing and just stuff like that. And my oldest is probably going to do some baking. So other than the book, really that, but I'm just kind of focusing on getting my site up for the pre-orders, which will be happening in, what is that, 3 days now or something. Yeah, that's a little bit soon. I don't quite feel ready, but it's okay. It'll be fine.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all of these wonderful insights. I really appreciate it. And if you could leave the audience with just one thing, what would it be?
I would say if you're a Christian, you should, I mean, my opinion is you should be homeschooling. I know that not everybody is able to, sometimes the mom has to work, or um, like just trust in the Lord and persevere, endure, and you can do it. It's not easy, but it is also easier than you think it might be also. So
All right. I love it. All right, Gina, thank you so much.
thank you.